Welcome to the Sharp Way Show. Yes, it is Larry Sharp. I am here. You were saying to yourself, oh my God, it is a little bit past 7 p.m. on the East Coast. Where is my Larry? Well, he's here. He is here with you, and I'm so happy you've joined me. And you know this is going to be a good show, because it always is. So do me a favor right now. Don't think you're thinking. That's a problem. Don't. Instead, click the like button. Click that button right now. If you're on Twitter, click it. If you're on YouTube, even click the dislike button if you don't like me. I don't care. Click a button. Doesn't matter. Click a button either way. Click something so that people will see what's going on right now. And I'm going to ask you one more thing if I could. I'm going to be a nudge here. If you're watching this on Twitter, retweet it. Retweet it before I bring my awesome and amazing guests on so they get a nice big pump on people who are watching. You know, I retweet this on like 30,000 things. So do me a favor. If you're watching it on Twitter, retweet it now. That will be awesome. I do appreciate it. I am very lucky today. I have with me two amazing guests that are going to wow you. I'm 100% sure. One of them you probably know. She's been on my show like 80,000 times already. She's actually run this damn thing before. So she's not new to you, but she's still awesome and has an amazing, she looks amazing. She's actually changed her hair specifically for this show only, like only for this show. She was not going to do it, but this show, she's like, I'm going to change my hair just for this show only. She's done it. The co-hosts of the new fee.org show, Unindoctrination, Maggie Anders and Olivia Rondeau. How are you?
Wow, what an intro.
That's awesome. I love that. Yes, absolutely. And Olivia and I, by the way, we are also the co-founders of the LP Light Skinned Caucus. So don't forget that also a very important thing that we've done. So I really appreciate you guys coming on today. I really do. Thank you so much for that. The thing that is amazing, I think, for both of you, which is there are many common threads to the two of you. One of them is competition. And I know, Maggie, you have done things like musicals and plays, things of that sort. You've been a performer, very competitive. Olivia, you have wrestled literally with the boys, very competitive. And I think that competition brings you guys kind of together in an odd way. Maggie, am I wrong?
No, I think that's completely correct. I think when you're a young girl growing up in a competitive environment, you start to learn the value of hard work, you know?
Absolutely. Yeah. Olivia, you actually were fighting with the boys. If I remember a story right, you actually didn't really want to be a wrestler. You just kind of wanted to piss your dad off. Is that about right?
It was kind of out of spite. So my whole life, I was always into martial arts. So I wasn't a stranger to like rolling around on the floor with a bunch of boys. But my dad had a thing when I was in high school. I had to play a fall, winter, and spring sport. And my winter sport was always basketball. But I hated basketball so much. So despite my dad, I was like, oh, well, if I have to play a winter sport, I'll sign up for wrestling. And I ended up loving it. And I signed up thinking that there was going to be other girls, and there was a bunch of other girls at like the signups, and I found out that they were all like the team managers later on. But by that point, it was too late. So yeah, it just kind of happened. But I think that my competitiveness that I got from, in my career before that, I'm a black belt in Taekwondo, blue belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, even before wrestling, but especially with wrestling, high school, collegiate, even the international level, I was on Team USA for a time. I think it directly translated into my politics and into the way I speak about politics today, because it's all about like doing for yourself. If you don't put in the work, you're not going to reap the benefits. And even the way I speak out is like, I'm used to being the only girl at a wrestling tournament and walking out in front of the mat, in front of like dozens or hundreds of people. So I'm totally, comfortable speaking out on uncomfortable or, unpopular opinions like I have.
So you were already fighting before you got here. All right, I got you. Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But there's something else though, right? I think COVID and the lockdowns kind of slowed your wrestling career down. I mean, it brought it almost to a halt, didn't it?
Yeah. So at the time I was in college. I believe so. 2020, I was finishing up my freshman year of college. And then, so wrestling practices were just like done. School was suddenly online. And the few wrestling practices we did have when we came back for my sophomore season, we had to have them off campus, literally in secret. It was like no official wrestling practices, no tournaments anymore. So it was really unfortunate for me to cope with because wrestling was my outlet. For so long,
Sure.
it was like wrestling and politics. And so now I was kind of forced to switch all my competitive energy into politics, into sharing my message. And there's some good and some bad that comes with that because I miss like the physical aspect of wrestling. Obviously, I was like in better shape, like being a college athlete. So there's good and bad that came with it. But I do like the time I'm afforded now to, launch a podcast. I literally would have never been able to whole show if I was still, a competitive wrestler, and I still occasionally train. So I'm just, I hope to get back to where I was, but we'll see.
You're still training. You're just training a different way. You're training up here a bit more. That's all. You're still training though. It's all good. So Maggie, why are you not on Broadway? Why am I not going to Broadway to see you? Why aren't you hanging out with Hugh Jackman, with the Music Man, hanging out here in Broadway? What's going on? Why aren't you hanging out with Hugh Jackman right now?
Yeah. I don't know. I loved doing musicals when I was younger. And it was a really great opportunity, at least for me, because I just grew up so anxious and so scared of failure. Once I decided to push through as a teenager and start auditioning for musicals, it provided me with the opportunity to face a lot of my fears and prove to myself that I could do something awesome. And I think politics has kind of provided me that opportunity now. Stuff like this, was scary for me in the beginning. I got on Twitter during lockdowns. I don't know if you know this, Larry, but I was working at Yale at the time. I was the Northeast and West Coast regional director. And I remember the day the schools locked down because my schools locked down before every other regional director. So I was fielding calls all day from my students who were like, they're sending us home. And my whole job was to get students on campus to go out and do pro-liberty activism. I mean, we were challenging speech codes that infringed on students' rights.
Yep, absolutely.
We were, encouraging students to go out on campaigns and holding a lot of in-person meetings. And then suddenly all of that shut down. And I was really fortunate in that situation to be around a bunch of libertarians because almost immediately my perspective was, this is not right. We're seriously infringing on people's freedoms. But during that time, we did a lot more activism, honestly, and our networks.
But hold on, I want to touch a more important piece though here. And this is, it's not like you were just going on stage. While that's a big deal, you were like leading. You were like leading. That's not easy to get, right? Everybody wants to be the lead and sing and belt out the tunes. Everybody wants that. You were able to do that. That I think that's you're selling yourself short saying I was on stage. You're kind of selling yourself short a bit, aren't you?
I don't know. Yeah. It's been a long time since I've done musicals. But yeah, it was a really incredible opportunity to be a lead in several musicals. And it's not something I talk about much on my Twitter now because I don't really do it.
Only when guys like me bug you, that's all. Okay, it's fine.
No. I was about to say, Maggie, you like never talk about this.
Yeah. I'm sure, I don't know. I never did believe that I was like deserving of the lead, but for some reason, other people believed in me.
That imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
And we're going to talk about that on our podcast because it's something that both of us have experienced, being like, literally just going back to being like two young women making like a non-left leaning podcast. There were like, it was not the path of least resistance to get to where either of us are today. Let's put it that way.
Absolutely.
Like, for you, Maggie, but like I know like what we went through and what it takes to get here.
I think I saw it on, I forgot I think I saw it on your Twitter, Maggie, first. I don't remember where I saw it first. I think it was on yours I saw it and I was like, what? This is a show? I gotta have him on. That was it. Got him on. So yes, because I agree with you. The thought process, whenever you think of a new liberty leaning, liberty like anything liberty show, you always think it's, you know, two old white guys. I'm just telling you the truth. It's what you think. It's what you think.
Well,
right?
that's
It's
great,
what you think.
right? That's the majority of libertarians. And that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with old white guys, obviously.
A lot of my friends are old white guys. I'm okay with them. I really am.
They're like probably one of my biggest fan bases is old white guys. That's
great. See?
That's great. But
Absolutely.
It's like, let's expand. Let's expand. Let's give people some representation, because I knew growing up, I've said this before, but growing up and seeing and watching like Fox or CNN, just like cable news, and not seeing many people like me, I just like didn't think it was necessarily in the cards for me. Like I never thought I would, be on television or do any of that. And it's not like I'm super I'm young. So this is only recently, I think, that a lot of younger women, a lot of younger female minorities are kind of breaking into the political space.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of those are on the left. So we're in even like a tinier box on the right. And I think it's important for us to, make those strides.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And at least for me,
oh, no, go ahead, Maggie, please.
Sorry. At least for me, I remember going to maybe my first couple of conferences and seeing girls like me, but maybe a little older, and just absolutely adoring them and looking up to them. And, throughout like my time in the liberty space, like I've definitely tried to be that for other young women. And I think a presence online and talking about issues from the perspective of a young girl and about issues that really impact us. Like, I think that's going.
Did we lose Maggie?
I can't hear anymore. Maggie.
Yeah, I think we
Did
lost
I cut
Maggie.
out?
Yes, you're back now. Yes, you've come back. Yes, you are back now. Yes.
My bad, y'all.
But that's okay. Your freeze frame wasn't that bad. You didn't get like a crazy freeze frame, so it's okay.
Thank you. Goodness, I was worried.
Yes.
I know somebody's gonna
It's fine. I got it.
Yeah, somebody's gonna screenshot it and
yes, of course,
all my tweets or something.
So, but the piece I wanted to bring up was there's a common thread. Speaking of old white guys, and that's Ron Paul. I think both of you kind of saw or thought of or were moved in some way by Ron Paul. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely.
So tell me your Ron Paul story. And I'm the weird one here because so many libertarians I meet tell me, oh, it was Ron Paul 2008 or Ron Paul 2012 or Ron Paul, whatever. I'm a Gary Johnson guy. Gary Johnson brought me in. I'm the weird one. But
I've roasted already for this before, so I won't do it again.
I know. People beat me up all the time about that one, but it's true. I remember someone, I think it was Dave Smith, I was on the show, he says, I always say Gary Johnson brought nobody into the Libertarian Party. And then I met Larry Sharpe, the one guy he did. So yes, I get teased all the time. But there are many who he brought him. Anyway, let me keep going here. Tell me your Ron Paul story, Maggie.
So my Ron Paul story started when I was 9 years old, and Ron Paul was on television. I was too young to understand politics at the time. It was 2007, 2008. And my aunts and my mom all just fell in love. It was something about his presence on the debate stage. Here's a sweet older guy who is, saying some really controversial stuff that is ringing very true. And they all just fell in love with him. They were going door to door canvassing for him. We actually went and saw him speak in Baton Rouge, and they bought me a little kid's Ron Paul 2008 shirt. So I was there. I shook his hand as a 9-year-old. And when I was really trying to rediscover my political philosophy after realizing, leftism is a crock of baloney, I didn't immediately go to conservatism because I knew that this third way existed. And I remember meeting him again at 18 and shaking his hand and telling him, hello, I am Maggie. I met you when I was 9, almost 10 years ago. And he got the biggest smile on his face. But
oh, so nice.
Yeah. But I really think
So you came from the left.
I did. Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Yeah. The people bug me when I talk to the left a lot. People say, why are you always talking to the left? I said, people come from the left too. They don't just come from the right to come to our movement. They come from the right. They come from the left. They come from nowhere. I came from nowhere, right? I wasn't left or right. I was never a member of any party until Libertarian Party. I came from nowhere. Thomas Sowell came from the left. He was a Marxist. He came to us as a Marxist, right? And a lot of people come from the right. I don't care. I don't care where you come from. All good. Just come to us. I'm open.
Yes.
Yes. So Olivia, what's your Ron Paul story?
I don't have a heartwarming story like Maggie does. Oh my God, like getting to say, oh my God, I met
He didn't like yell at you or something, did he?
No.
Okay.
I've never met him. I've admired him from afar. Like he's inspired me from afar. And I don't have like childhood memories of watching him on TV because my parents were never like, they never really even knew about libertarianism. I didn't know about libertarianism until after I was already kind of big on Twitter talking about like being a conservative. So I'm one of the people that came from the right. I had no knowledge of libertarianism from high school, college, and I was a political science major. Nobody told me about libertarianism. So that's kind of when like the value of my degree in college started like crumbling in my brain because they didn't teach me like anything useful at all. But it was a lot of people like you, Larry, and a lot of other libertarian like podcasters, like the old white guy podcasters, got me into it. So I do credit them with a lot. I'm just saying I think we could reach a little bit of a younger demographic just because I think it's uncommon for people like me or Maggie to stumble across a lot of these libertarian podcasts if you're not already in the political space like I was. But that being said, as I drifted closer and closer towards libertarianism, I heard about Yale. And for people who don't know, that used to be students for Ron Paul. So it was a lot of heavy Ron Paul stands were like guiding me into the movement and got me into door knocking and phone calling and texting and activism and all that kind of stuff. So I do credit the Ron Paul movement, I would say, as a whole for getting me more into libertarian philosophy and educating me and ultimately bringing me into, places like FEE, because it was so funny because both me and Maggie worked with Yale at the same time and FEE at the same time, but we didn't meet in person until very recently, which is so stupid. But it was the Ron Paul movement that really got me into that. So it's like my dream to like actually meet him one day and be like, yo, thank you. But I did get the chance to see him speak like a year or two ago, whatever the last like Yale event I went to was, and that was pretty cool.
All right. Well, now you're getting popping up that I'm sure he'll meet you. I've been lucky enough. I've opened for him a couple times. I've done Ron Paul intros a couple times for that. I do open for him. I've opened for him a couple times. So that I've been very lucky in that regard. So yes, I do have my pictures with him and stuff. I got those. So yeah, I've done it's required. You just kind of like have to do it as a libertarian, right? And like kind of the rules. You got to get it eventually. Yeah. Kind of like your pilgrimage to Mecca. It's kind of like that.
Yeah. Oh my God. That's exactly.
You got to do that. That's how it works. My pilgrimage. That's true. So let me take a couple comments. Olivia, Maggie, I don't mean to make you feel weird here, but like my audience knows Olivia, so they're all happy she's back.
Oh, good.
So Phil says Larry's third daughter is back.
Yeah, they remember me. I was wondering if you guys remembered me. It's been a minute.
My God, yeah. John literally says, I'm missing Olivia's podcast on her channel. She's very smart, talented, a powerful voice for freedom.
I feel bad because I haven't updated my YouTube in a super long time, but I am still making content with FEE, and I have like other video content that I post on Twitter, so follow me there.
They're still paying. Shelly says, hey, Olivia, great to see you. So people remember you. Look at that. See that?
That's so great.
I love that. Just want to make that. But also people are also happy about Maggie also. Sorry. Welcome, Maggie. So see,
thank you.
There we go. So all good. So yes. If I go down here, Luther says it's nice to see you ladies leading the good fight on everything, from the talents to the representation of libertarians. Oh, that's nice.
That's very sweet.
Sam says I was a Ron Paul guy. Ha ha. There we go. Yes, absolutely. And Chris says Ron Paul still my president since 2012. Yes.
Yeah.
Andrew says Ron Paul's was the internet's love boy in 2012. He still is to me. Oh, look at that. A lot of people saying that. There we go. Joel's on my side. Gary Johnson brought a lot of people to the Libertarian Party. The other two choices were Clinton and Trump. And it's true. So yeah. So he did bring some people.
Yeah. No, yes. That is true. I can't judge when you put it in that perspective, but still.
Yep. Absolutely. Dan says you were 9 when Paul was running. Now I feel old. time marches ruthlessly. Yes.
I mean, I feel old all the time now too. I get it.
Here we go. Absolutely. So yes, I want to pop a couple of those up. But guys, if you want to see what they're doing, you can head over to fee.org/Unindoctrination. That is the new show that they're going to be coming out. What day is it coming out?
January 19th.
Yeah,
January 19th, the show's coming out. Go to fee.org/Unindoctrination to check it out, to let people know what's going on. Share it if you can. They're both very active on Twitter. Maggie and Olivia, both active on Twitter. Follow them there if you want to make sure things are going. And do me a small favor. I'm asking you that subscribe to the Sharp Way YouTube page. I know I have like 9 YouTubes, but just do this one is what I'm asking you for. And when you do it, select all notifications when you subscribe, so you get ring the bell when people know when I'm doing cool stuff like this. Please do it. It does matter. And I also want you to, if you would please, support my sponsors, theadvocates.org. Head over to the Advocates, take the world's smallest political quiz if you want to, or if you don't want to, you've taken it already, no worries. Take any of their many surveys. They have the identity politics, political correctness survey. They've got monetary policy surveys, all types of surveys. The survey take about 6 to 7 minutes or so, but when you take it, it's free. And share your results, it's free. You can support the show and spend no money. No money. Now, if you want to just give me money, you can just give me money if you want. I don't mind. But you don't have to. You can just do this. It is free. It takes a bit of time. You share it, and people have conversations. That's what I'm trying to achieve. That's why I keep bugging you. I wanted to make sure that was clear. Sorry to do a bit of work there, guys. I apologize. A little bit of work.
No worries. I think you guys should give them money.
Yes.
Can I respond to one of the comments? Somebody asked.
Go ahead, please.
Somebody asked, is Olivia still with Patriot J? I just wanted to let them know, yes.
Yes, look, I'm very happy about that. Yes, yes. Maybe one day my son-in-law. So very nice. So yes, absolutely.
Exactly.
Yes.
Oh my God, I forgot you guys met at Freedom Fest finally.
We did. Great. Absolutely. 100%. Absolutely. And I don't know if you need my approval, but you have it. If you need it, you have it.
I would ask you. I was going to ask you, so thank you.
So yes, you have my approval. So it's all good. Yes, absolutely. So yes, so yeah, people are following you, Olivia. You think? I mean, you came. Maggie, you might know she was here for a couple of months, maybe 3 months, maybe
at least like 3 or 4 months. Yeah.
Yeah, and she ran a couple shows. She coached a couple times, and the people just loved her and they asked for her, so they're all happy she's back. So
yeah,
I'm glad you're back. So it's all good. So, but let me ask you, why? I mean, you have a new show coming out. Why Fee? I mean, you could have done something else. You could have not done it. Why did Fee pick you? Why did that combination of you two and Fee come together?
I'm controversial and nobody else likes me. I'm just kidding.
Okay, that works.
Right, no. Fee's actually been, just to answer for myself, Fee has actually been super cool to me for like 2 years at this point, because it was back when Hannah Cox and Brad Palumbo were like the two kind of like influencer type faces of them. And they kind of almost forced me at gunpoint to join their Hazlitt fellowship. Like the I didn't even apply. Hannah was like, I'm applying for you. Like, you're going to write for us, basically. And they just kind of, it was the first like formal, real, like writing and research fellowship workshop type thing I really had. So it improved my writing skills so much. Because of them, like now I write like full time and edit at the Post Millennial. That's super cool to me because I have those skills taken from a lot of the stuff that Fee taught me. And I'm still there. I still contribute there. And now that Brad and Hannah aren't there anymore, I kind of saw me and Dan Sanchez, who like editing at Fee. I think we both kind of saw a gap that needed to be filled in Fee at the same time, which was like more influencer faces. I was looking for somewhere to host my show. I didn't even make that public yet, but like I had been looking for about like a few weeks to a month at that point, because if you remember, I had a YouTube show for like months, but it became too hard for me to produce because I have a business now. I have a bunch of stuff going on. So I was like, I'll do a show if somebody else produces it. And that's when Dan contacted me. And then he was like, what about Maggie for a co-host? And I was like, yes, like, please. And then, yeah, it just kind of fell into place for me, but I'll let
Maggie
go. Wifey.
So Maggie, why'd you say yes? Like, what happened? Tell me.
So agree with all of that.
Uh-oh, I'm losing you again. Can you hear Olivia, or is it just me?
No, she's frozen again.
She's frozen again.
I'm so sorry. Internet is fine.
me see if I can. I'm going to shift my camera down. Maybe it'll help if I do that. I don't know if it will or won't. All right. Is she still there now?
She was moving.
I think we've lost her.
I'm here.
Okay. There you are. Okay, now you're here. Go ahead. Please tell me the story of Fee now.
Sorry.
Please.
I don't know what's happening right now. So completely agree. You guys should apply for the Hazlitt Fellowship. I think Fee 1 is the longest libertarian nonprofit in the country. They were founded in 1946. So they have this long, great tradition.
I know they were in New York.
Also,
I know, and I got mad when they left.
In New York.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. But one reason I really like Fee is that they understand that Gen Z is the priority right now. That we need to focus on the youth of this country because they are being indoctrinated online and in classrooms. And so Fee works to address this both online and in classrooms. So that's why I personally love Fee, because I think they understand where the real battle is right now. And also, they were very supportive of the show idea. And it's a show I've been wanting to make for years and years and just haven't had the encouragement and support to make it. And they've just been very, very supportive,
That's great. I love it. So you brought up a very important point, though. Both of you guys are Gen Z, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So you guys grew up, and now Gen A behind you is growing up in a world that you can actually be indoctrinated, and not just in school. I mean, everyone assumes school indoctrination, which of course is still true. That's still a thing. But you don't even have to. You can just go online on your cell phone, see things that nobody else should probably be seeing. When I was a kid, I mean, I'm an old man. We didn't have internet, right? So, I never had internet till I was in college, right? I mean, it wasn't a thing. We didn't even have it. And I went to college late, and I still hardly used it. So it was like a thing that some people use. I still had books and stuff. So there was, if I wanted to get indoctrinated, I had to wait till I was an adult. And usually it was some guys in the corner talking about, I don't know, LaRouche guys were in the corner when I was a kid. Black Israelites were in the corner when I was a kid. Let's see, who else was in the corner when I was a kid? Mormons were in the corner when I was a kid, right? I mean, these people were on the corner when I was a kid. So that's all I could have gotten. I couldn't have gotten anything else. And there were alien people, like lizard people, like those types of people on the corner too, right? So them were on the corner too. But I had to physically go to the people on the corner, take the actual pamphlet, read the pamphlet on how the lizard people are running the world or whatever, and then show up at the actual event to be indoctrinated. Now anybody can. It's a whole different world.
I think it's easier to be indoctrinated on the internet than at school or anywhere else anymore. I mean, I really stress to conservatives and libertarians all the time. You guys don't understand TikTok. You guys don't understand what it's doing to kids' attention span. These little 7 to 30 to 60-second videos that are just pumping you full of information and the immense censorship that goes on TikTok. I mean, if you think Meta and Instagram and Twitter colluding with our government is bad, how about TikTok colluding with our government and the Chinese government? I mean, it is CCP approved content only on there. And I don't see why people really say, I mean, I get why people are like, oh, well, we don't even want to combat it on TikTok. I mean, TikTok is owned by the Chinese government, but it's like, you have to find Gen Z influencers, TikTokers, content creators, whatever you want to call it, to combat that type of messaging in a similar fashion in these video formats. And that's also part of me and Maggie's contributorship to Fee, is also making Instagram reels and little social media posts and videos and TikToks to kind of combat that. Because while your 12-year-old, I mean, and it's really young kids on TikTok too. So while your 12-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old is scrolling, they're being told that, they're that all the social problems are being caused by capitalism. Everything's being harmed by white supremacy, and this is what you need to believe in, and this is what you need to do, or else you are racist, bigot, homophobe, transphobe. And this is not an over exaggeration or an embellishment at all. That's literally what's happening. And so conservatives and right-wingers and libertarians especially, because I mean, conservatives, they just throw money at the problem. Libertarians, we don't have a lot of money, so we really cannot afford to fumble on messaging. We really cannot afford to not invest in like the Gen Z influencers. I know everybody hates influencers or content creators right now, and I really don't even use the term influencer for myself, but that's just, it is what it is at this point, because the left and the CCP has their influencers or content creators. So how else would you combat that? Telling people to close their eyes, telling people to...
I have a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
I have it, and she's on TikTok. So, and so's my
Sometimes
older
you gotta
one.
look at their phone and be like, okay, what's on there for your page? Because
what's in the algorithm? Like,
I gotta tell you, I'm gonna tell you a story on why I know about these. It's a true story. When my oldest daughter was younger, she was probably 12 or so. She was watching a video, and I didn't get it, right? She was on an iPad or something, and she was watching a video, I found out later was PewDiePie, right? So she was watching PewDiePie. This is several years ago. I guess he's still popular now, but he was super popular a while ago. And when he was super popular, she was watching him. She was watching PewDiePie watch someone else play a video game.
That's what they do. It's like, all about the reactions.
But I didn't get it. Like, look, I'm an old man. I was like, why don't you just play the video game or watch tutorial? Like, it didn't make any sense to me. Couldn't get it. And I asked my daughter, and she actually told me, she goes, no, Dad, I feel like I'm watching with him. And I said, I got it. And from that moment on, I became her internet buddy. From that moment on, I'm like, I'm not letting some man take my daughter from me. So I said, so now I know who PewDiePie is. I know what Roblox is. I know what Minecraft is. I have an account in all those things. And I play with my daughter whenever she wanted to play. I was there. I did the same things with her. I saw her. So I know what her For You page looks like. And I have my own avatar and all my things. So her friends know that her dad's playing too. So I did all of those things because I was worried with exactly what you were talking about when I saw my oldest one. So now my youngest one, who's 6 years behind her, she's now in that world. And when since I can talk to them in that regard, when the weird things pop up, they bring it up to me. Like my daughters will say, Dad, what about this thing? And I'll be like, wow, okay, I'm glad you told me this. So now we're talking back and forth because what you're saying, Olivia, is 100% true. So just my little story.
Yeah. No, I love that you did that. That's like a parenting win to me, because it's like, I think parents who are super overly strict, like take away the phone, like if you're like that creates sneaky kids. You want your kid to trust you and be able to talk about stuff that they see on the internet with you. So that's pretty cool. I like that.
I can't stop. Like, this is the funny part is people think I'm a nutty parent, and maybe I am, but I never told my kids they couldn't see anything. I just said, I want to know what you're seeing and let's talk about it. That was it. I never said you can't go to a website. I never put any parental controls with any of the devices. And they don't do that stuff because it's not taboo for them. And I can't stop them anyway because their friends all have it. So their friends are gonna show them anyway. So even if I try to stop it, they'll ask their friends, and now they'll be talking with their friends about stupid stuff. I learned this. I don't want my kids learning stuff on the street. Learn it from me. Don't learn from the street. I know how that works. I grew up on the street. I don't want to do that. So yes, I completely agree. Yes. I'm sorry, Maggie. Go ahead. I apologize. You popped out.
I don't know what's going on with my tech or whatever. So I hope I don't permanently drop off. But yeah, I mean, I think I'm not a parent, so I really do like to hear from parents. And I think your tactic is probably the best one I've heard. Being present as a parent and taking active interest in your child, and not like when you set up these restrictions, you often end up pushing them towards that unless you are feeding their soul in a way where they don't want to go and, find that stuff, right? But like, it's natural for teenagers to want to rebel against their parents. And now there are 1,000,001 ways to do that. And really scary ways. Like the stuff, I don't want to scare people, but the stuff that's online is really, really bad. Like our generation, and my biggest concern for our generation is our mental health crisis. Like we are severely depressed and we are seeing really, really bad things online all the time. you know?
It's horrible. We're in the age of over information. We're not like children these days having access to every single atrocity being committed in the world, all the body issues and self-esteem issues that come with following like models and social media influencers telling you to get Botox, get this injection, get this surgery, combined with different forms of political propaganda paid for by the government or paid for by this super PAC, just all hounding you and attacking you. It's like a war. We're in a war for young minds of this generation. Yes. And you don't win that war by backing out or not trying to create content to combat their content. So like, you know, all the regular we're just two girls talking shows that are funded by huge super PACs and they're all fronts for like Democrat organizations. We're here to stop you. So
there we go. I like it. And there it is right at the bottom. You can see fee.org/Unindoctrination is the place to go to check out this cool show happening here, January 19th. That is amazing. So happy that's happening. But let me go, if I can, I'm going to grab a couple of comments. People are commenting again. I want to make sure some of the people see what's going on. Ricky says, good to see some young people with eyes and ears, minds acknowledging. I like that. Yes, I love it. Let's see here. The Libertarian lady's doing the right thing. I leave the smallest political quiz on tables when I go out to eat. You should do that. That is a good thing. I like that. Yes.
That's a good idea.
One person at a time.
There we go.
Insane.
Also, I saw a lot of people who came from the left here, which is good. A lot of people talking about how they came from the left. People came from the right, all those types of things. Dan says, it's good to see some of you that come from the left. When a libertarian explains some of those left champion causes like police reform and restorative justice, some of those ideas are actually quite reasonable when they're not packaged with socialist garbage. Good point, right? Absolutely.
I agree.
Absolutely. So if I can grab a couple more of these, there's so many popping up here. Alexander asks, will Unindoctrination be available on Stitcher?
It's everywhere where you would listen to podcasts. So I know it's on like Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music. I don't know the specific other smaller podcast things, but I'll actually ask and find out a specific list.
Here we go. Torrance says, Larry lived on Sesame Street. He's messing with me. I know Torrance is busting my stones. However, to be forward, Sesame Street the concept was based upon New York, Brooklyn. That's what it was based upon. And I lived in the Bronx. So I kind of lived on Sesame Street. So kind of. If you look at how Sesame Street was brought up, it was as if it was a Brooklyn neighborhood. That's what it was put together as. So I was almost Sesame Street. Almost, not 100%. Yes. John says, I know the two of you will do great work between Olivia's veterancy in the political world and the great things that Maggie did with Young Americans for Liberty. This is a great team. Oh, you have fans already.
John.
Look at you guys. You have fans. I love that.
Nice.
So Sam says, I used to recommend Reason magazine to my students, but I haven't been happy with the quality of late. What print media do you share with kids?
I've heard the Tuttle Twins is a great resource for if you're talking about like children.
Yeah. Shelley agrees.
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. There we go.
Absolutely. Yes.
Yeah.
I do think it's tough, right? I think it's hard to figure out what do you give your kids and what do you not, right? How do you make that out? It is difficult. Speaking of kids, behind you is Gen A, right? Those are my kids, Gen A. The kids who are, you guys didn't grow up with Twitter. I'm sorry, with TikTok, right? They grew up with TikTok. My kids grew up with literally an iPad in their hand at 2 or 3 years old, right? And they grew up with TikTok. Mm-hmm. And the piece that has driven me crazy is what you said, Olivia, is that they're seeing people and they're not seeing the real people. They're seeing is their avatar, right? And the avatar is always having a great time, is always good looking, is always having fun, is never working unless it's fun work. And then the kids go, oh, so I guess that's what my life should be now. Mm-hmm. Are we building a generation that thinks, working 9 to 5 or even working is a bad thing only for suckers and chumps? And if we do, is that a bad thing?
I don't know if you've seen the recent stats on this, but it's like, if you ask a first grader, what do you want to be when they grow up? They used to say astronaut, firefighter, vet, doctor, the cool jobs, but still like lucrative career choices. Mm-hmm. Now they're saying YouTuber, TikToker, streamer, professional video game player. Like they want to be PewDiePie reviewing other people's gaming streams, basically. Like this is a career opportunity. And don't get me wrong, they make crap tons of money, not hating on people who capitalized off of, being interesting to the YouTube algorithm. That's cool. That's basically what I do just on Twitter. So that's fun. That's fine. But
but I'm not making PewDiePie money yet, Olivia. Soon, hopefully, but not yet.
Right. And we're telling, and like literally these kids who are PewDiePie and all these other streamers made audience literally think that this is a career option, that they're going to be a streamer and not have to pay attention in school, because you don't have to pay attention in school to be a streamer, to be a YouTuber, to be a TikToker. And yeah, it is sad. And I know I keep seeing Brad Palumbo and a lot of people who are like former FEE and just like in the libertarian space talk about this quiet quitting, or this phenomenon that bosses and CEOs keep saying is people in our generation, like millennials and Gen Z and younger, just don't want to work that hard, or they just kind of drift off until they just stop working completely. They quiet quit. And I think that's real. I definitely think that's real. I see that among people in my age group, and it's really crazy and sad to see, because and I have imposter syndrome really bad. So I'm constantly comparing myself to other people, being like, oh my God, I don't belong here. But then what makes me feel better is thinking where it would be if I didn't drop out of college and I was still like in online school and just not really doing anything, to push my career forward, and just going where they want me to go, which is like, okay, get your 4-year degree, get in $100,000 of debt, go to one of the big 4 like consulting firms, don't work hard, probably get fired, and live off of welfare. And that's just not what I wanted to do.
You work as a barista. You work as a bartender or barista, one of the two. That's fine. That's that's funny is the amount of people in New York City I see who are baristas with advanced degrees. It's shocking, because I'm the weirdo. I actually ask, like I'm the guy who goes, hey, so I'm just curious, you have a degree? They go, yeah, and they're proud of it. Yeah, I've got a degree and blah, blah, blah. They never tell me no. They tell me they're proud of it. Yes, I've never met that, but I've met many people who have master's degrees who are literally serving coffee. I mean, that's like a thing. They're all over New York City. And I'm saying to myself, my God, how are you surviving? You're surviving on barista salary, and you've got at least 50 grand, if not 100 grand in debt, minimum.
Right.
And then how is
capitalism? But capitalism, Larry, you don't understand. It's capitalism's fault. It's white supremacy's fault. Also, they're non-binary, and that's also part of the problem too. People are just bigoted. People are just bigoted and transphobic.
Right.
Yes.
No, that's absolutely right. There's this book called. Sorry.
Go ahead.
No, go, Maggie, please go.
Yeah, there's this book called Defining Decade that my boyfriend and I have been reading about how your choices in your 20s really determine where your life is going to end up. And there are so many people who are just stuck on like pause mode. And I think that tech problem of, now we have Gen Alpha growing up on TikTok, our brains are so fried and we are constantly seeking quick validation. And one concept my generation hasn't learned quite yet, and I think we will, is that short-term pleasure will cause you long-term pain, and you need to take the hard route sometimes. And you can't just always feel good all the time. Things can't just always be good. And, my generation has been conditioned into thinking that feeling any type of stress or pain in the moment is bad. And so we should be in constant pursuit of pleasure. Dan Sanchez, editor-in-chief of FEE, wrote an amazing Substack article about this. It's called Pursuit of Pleasure. But I think like that is absolutely a lesson that we need to learn how to instill in our kids. And my predictions for Gen Alpha is that, you're going to see a massive split, just like you do in every generation. It is currently countercultural and will continue to be countercultural to reject the continued encroachment of tech into our daily lives. People are dreaming of running off to the farm and
it's true,
touching the ground with their hands, right? Like people want to build something.
Touch grass.
They want to touch grass. Yes. And I think we are underestimating the intelligence of people to recognize that they are depressed and lonely and that this life online is not satisfactory. And so I really want to encourage other young people and even people that aren't in Gen Z to build community. Like that is what, and build community with good people that you want to emulate. Like that is one of the
Could I step even closer into that? Build community physically, not only online. Online is good supplement, right? Online is a good supplement. I think it's amazing for a supplement, but you also have to meet people physically too, right? It's not enough to just be online. You also want to meet people. And I think we often think that, well, online is good enough. I'm not against online friendships, but it can't be only that, right? You have to also be able to get out and meet people. But I want to touch two pieces you brought. One of it's what Olivia brought up, and this is going to be, I'm going to bring up a racial issue. You know, when the opioid crisis was destroying poor neighborhoods, black and brown neighborhoods in the 80s and 90s, the answer was just say no or put more people in jail. Now that has affected all of America. And now it's a crisis. Right now, it's an opioid crisis. What I would say is what you're talking about, Olivia, and you may be too young to know this, but when I was a kid, everybody was saying they're going to be a basketball star or a football star. The kids in my school, they weren't saying they're going to be doctors and lawyers. I had two schools. I grew up in the South Bronx in a predominantly black and brown school until I was around 11 or 12. Then I moved to the suburbs, and most of my friends there were white. But when I was a kid, I was going to be a baseball player. I was going to be a New York Yankee. I lived across from Yankee Stadium. I was going to be, a professional baseball player. That's what I was going to be, of course. Right? And all my friends would be professional basketball players, football players. We weren't going to be doctors and lawyers. That wasn't what it was. Now, of course, it's a similar situation. Those were all fantasies. I was never going to become a professional basketball player, a baseball player, and I wasn't going to, take the Yankees to the World Series like I said I was going to do when I was a kid. And I think now that has kind of come to a point where a lot of kids now are all seeking the fantasy. And will some of them become PewDiePie? Yes, just as some of my friends, actually out of my high school, 2 kids actually went professional football. So 2 kids went professional football. 2 did, yes. So it does happen, right? 2 out of my entire school we had a great football team where I was on Long Island. So 2 actually went to be professional. But that's it, right? And that was a lot. I feel like the whole country is going that way. Do we all think we can be, we keep saying PewDiePie, but whoever, the cool guy now is Mr. Beast, right? And he's the cool guy now? I think he is, right? So Mr. Beast or PewDiePie or whoever, we all think we're going to be the cool podcaster. And a lot of kids are going to be disappointed. And what happens? Well, you looked at the black community. Where'd all the kids go? They went to the black market because the market wasn't ready for them. And when they couldn't become the professional football player, basketball player, baseball player, nobody wanted to be a hockey player when I was a kid. Anyway, but any of those 3, maybe now they do, but they didn't when I was a kid. They went to the black market, and many of them went to jail because of it, right? And I think you're going to find a lot of our youth now going to the black market because they can't make enough money at Starbucks, and they can't be the PewDiePie. What are they going to do? They're going to go to the black market.
And they haven't prepared for any possibility in a career field in the corporate world or in the business field or anything beyond that because they banked on becoming a streamer or a professional gamer. Which is like, I am fearful. I am fearful a lot for this next generation because I see it because I have a brother that's 6 years younger than me and there's a generational difference. I don't think he's Gen Alpha. He's 16. I'm not really sure where it starts, but
he's Alpha.
Oh, is he? Okay. So born right, I guess, young enough to be a different generation than me. And we were raised completely differently. And we have the same parents, but I didn't have an iPhone until I was in high school. That kid got handed an iPod when he was like 4 years old. Like, it's just completely different. Like, we played outside. He played on the Xbox. It's just completely different. I wasn't allowed to have Instagram and social media until I was like 15. It's just a whole different world. And these kids have different attention spans. They have different ambitions, like we just said. They have different capacities, for different learning styles. And this is also a kid who had to do like 2 years on online because of COVID. So the combination of being online school for like 2 years or a year and a half, however long they were on online school in their formative years, combined with the fact that they were just scrolling on TikTok that entire time is crazy. Like, it's literally
Absolutely.
crazy. And it's just, it's sad to see. And I think that Maggie's right. I think that the mental health crisis, compounded by the whatever crisis we call the internet and this new age of information and social media, will be horrible. I mean, there's a story every day, which is unfortunate, but I feel like I see stories all the time of some random teenager, like kids suffering from like mental health issues and, you know, committing suicide, are like younger and younger these days. And it's so sad to see. It's like 12-year-olds, 11-year-olds. I'm like, how do they even know how to do this stuff? Who is teaching them this stuff? And it's always social media every single time.
Yes.
I think
Absolutely.
this existential angst too is what's driving these suicides. And again, I just have to say that, like, we have to like really pull inward, like, because of politics, we're so out here, we're so like in the world, we have to pull inward and really focus on the people around us, right? And presenting to them this idea that life can still be good and that the problems of the world are not necessarily our problems, but the people around us are, right? And we have a responsibility for ourselves and for others, and to lift people up with us. Which is, you know, something I think this rising generation needs to hear, because currently they're using that power that they have over their peers to bully them and force them into certain ideologies and opinions and shove them towards darker and darker things. So like, a really big takeaway that I want people, and the young people especially who watch our show, like, of course I want to create libertarians, but I want to create positive, active people in their
100%.
communities and friend groups. You know, that 100%. Is where we have real impact, right? Because I can sit on Twitter and yes, my tweets, you know, people will view my tweets and maybe it might spark a conversion, but like what I do for my friend who is struggling,
way better. 100%, 100% way better. Absolutely. Torrance says, I am a mental health crisis. Well, Torrance, you're not alone, brother. You are not alone. And I think the lockdowns made everything worse, right? If you had mental issues prior to the lockdown, now you also have an addiction issue because you couldn't get help. If you had an addiction issue, now you also have a mental health issue because you were abandoned. So now you were made alone. So everything got worse, and people won't admit that the lockdowns made everything worse. They made the black market worse. They made mental health worse. They made addiction problems worse. Nothing but everything worse. And we have to accept that and now try to fix it. Maggie, I think you're completely right.
I mean, how many people do you know who were talking about drinking every day during lockdowns?
Yep.
Like, that is a cry for help. You know what I mean?
And that was women, by the way, right? If you look at the 2008 crash that hurt us, that was much more of a male, it hit the men more. And you saw the male suicide rate just rise. There's no tomorrow after 2008, right? You saw that big rise in male suicide, right? Because of the 2008 crash. This lockdowns affected women more than men. And women aren't as aggressive when it comes to killing themselves, right? Women don't often go out, they go inward. So what did women do? They started drinking. So there is a massive problem right now with female alcoholics in America. In fact, this is a true story. I think it was it Lisa Ling, I think, did an entire show on this recently on her show, This Is Life, where there are women now in their 20s that doctors had never heard of needing liver transplants because they just, to your point, they're drinking every single day. Yep. They don't stop. And look, you can drink. Lots of people in their 20s drink, but they don't need liver transplants because you don't drink every day, all day long. You get hammered on the weekend or whatever. You do that. A lot of people party. But they're drinking to cope with life in general. So you're completely correct. And it's affecting women more now than men.
Women are, I think, also avoid that our show can help fill is the fact that young women these days are very unhappy. A lot of it is, comparison being the thief of joy because we spend so much time on social media. And because I feel like a lot of women feel like there's an impossible standard to be met. You have to look a certain way. And now in the 21st century, there's all these women, I don't want to say like boss B words, but like the career women and their mothers and their wives, and they have it all, and they cook dinner for their family, and they also have the 9-to-5, and they also make 6 figures, and they also have their side business, and they're also really put together all the time. And it is so overwhelming, I think, to see all that type of content and
also not true. Just being clear. And also not true.
Curated content that only shows you the best parts of everybody else's life. And it's crazy because I found myself inadvertently being that type of person for some people, which I didn't know that happened at all. But I had recently, I've had like, I would say at least like 5 or 6 young women within the last month or 2 reach out to me and ask me like, how did you get where you are? Like, how do you live your life like this? And I'm like, what am I posting that makes my life seem so glamorous and so crazy? But to them, it's just like, I guess it's like working in politics or like whatever influencer status they may think I have. But I realized the impact that the way I post on social media handled people or had on people. And I've always tried to be like very transparent because during COVID, I was like super open about like my mental health struggles. And we were talking about, I'm not a huge drinker, but I abused substances for sure during COVID. It just is what it is. And I'm honest and open about it. So I don't want women to feel like they have to compare themselves to me. I want to feel relatable, and I want to feel like a person that people can listen to and be like, this is not a judgment zone. We're here on this journey together. And I think I do have good advice to give to women if they want to like know how I got where I am and stuff, but not in a fake, like my life is perfect, like influencer type way.
Right. Now the idea of letting people know that you can still be satisfied in life and fail and fall down and make mistakes.
And I've failed a lot. And I've failed a lot.
Actually, same. Yeah. And I think the important lesson is to learn how to recover from your fails. Right.
But in today's world, Maggie, we were just chatting about this a second ago. In today's world, how do you when everything you do is on TikTok? Everything you do is on Twitter, right? So you're going to be on TikTok and you're going to be like, oh, I lost my boyfriend. And you're going to cry your eyes out on TikTok for the views. You're going to get the views because you cried your eyes out on TikTok.
Yeah.
But now you feel, did I really want to let everybody know how I felt about my boyfriend on TikTok? And whether you did or didn't, now you did. And everyone's going to go back and go, see, you cried or whatever. Yeah. And it's almost like there's no chance for redemption.
Right. Well, I mean, that's another thing that I'm kind of white-pilled on, is that I think my generation, because we put all of it out there, all of it, that we're going to have to learn how to forgive ourselves. I mean, think about what happens when Gen Z runs for office.
Yes.
I already decided that I can't because I'm like,
I know, right? I'm like, no,
already.
Yes.
I'm good.
You're right. It's going to be crazy, right? But I think there's some sign of that. It's good and bad, I think. Here's the good sign. I've always been, since I was younger and going to college, I've always thought college, unless you have a plan to do something with your degree, I've always thought college was useless. Now, that is not a common thought. Most people thought I was crazy then, and I'm crazy now. But I still think it. And I've known it to be true for at least 20 years. I hire and fire. I've been doing it for 20 years. College degrees don't mean anything to me. And in fact, 15 years ago, most people don't know this, in the high tech, powerful, like tech world where they were making the new cool stuff, a master's degree was a no hire. They would see with the go, no, it was a no hire 15 years ago. Now, just recently, just like a month ago, Google, I think it was Google, they suspended the requirement of a college degree now. You don't have to have a college degree anymore to work for Google. They stopped it.
Yep.
Yes, and because college, unless you have a plan, like I want to be a thing that requires a college degree, it is stupid to go to college. I know people think I'm crazy. Yeah. It's a colossal waste of time and money. Go work, figure out what you want to do. And if your new job requires a degree, then go get a degree. I'm sorry, I'm yapping away.
Yeah, Olivia and I, neither of us graduated college. I've actually been considering going back because I've been thinking for about a year about whether or not I want to go back to become a therapist.
Yeah.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
But I mean, it's
which is why,
huh?
I was saying, if you have a plan, it seems like you have a plan for it to use it as a therapist.
But it's still like a question for me, right? But I do think it's
You'll
important.
make more money. You'll make more money and be a better therapist if you are simply a personal coach. Just be a personal coach. You won't be licensed by the state. You won't get sued, and you'll be able to be more powerful, do more stuff without being punished by the state. How do I know that? That's what I am.
Larry, always the best financial advice.
Oh, yes.
Larry, can you be my personal coach?
100%, my dear. Absolutely. Yes, 100%. And what I can tell you is when I coach people, I make more than any therapist I know.
Yeah.
Not even close. More than any therapist I know. So, yes.
I don't regret dropping out at all because, like I said, my political science is a useless degree. I mean, I've never met anyone. I know a lot of people who have poli-sci degrees. Unless you're going to law school, useless degree. My boyfriend, he went to law school on it, and now he's a lawyer, and now he's successful. So that's the way you
makes
can
total
use
sense.
It. But that wasn't my
engineer also works, doctor, teacher, all of those are good reasons to go to college. Absolutely. I went to college. I was 21. I was in the Marine Corps. And then I figured I needed a college degree. So I went and got a college degree. My degree, with my bachelor's degree, I have literally taught at the graduate level of Yale and Columbia. I don't have a master's degree. And my bachelor's degree is in anthropology. That is how useless my degree is. So yes, that's how useless my degree is. Yes.
Larry, I want to call after this. I need your advice.
I was also going to say the Google thing, that's not isolated at all. I believe it was like the founder of LinkedIn or something. He did an interview with like Bloomberg or one of the big business magazines or whatever, and said that, was answering questions, what gets people matches and jobs on LinkedIn. And he said that college degrees don't matter anymore. It's about experience. It's literally about the stuff on your resume. It's about the skills you list on your LinkedIn, the experiences you list on your LinkedIn, rather than whatever college you went to. It really does not matter. And
I'll go one more thing that I'll bring up with what you said earlier, Maggie, which is I feel like in today's world, particularly the youngsters, because there's almost no chance for redemption, right? Once you make the mistake, now you get canceled, or now you're a bad person, or now you have to apologize for the rest of your life, or something like that, that people do one of two things. They walk on eggshells, and then when they're finally attacked, they literally want to end their lives. Like literally they want to end their lives, as Olivia was saying. Or they go to a place where they go, you know what? I don't care what any of you think. Go to hell. And the problem with that one is that can be powerful, right? That can be redeeming. It can be. But it can also make you a bad person. It can also make you vindictive and nasty and mean. It can do both.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I am seeing this all over Twitter nowadays. Like, do you know the accounts that like are self-proclaimed racists that are just like,
there we go. Yeah.
I'm like, what are we doing?
Like literally to Larry's point, you to be like one of these like self-proclaimed like racist or white nationalist or black nationalist people, you had to be like on the corner, like taking a pamphlet from somebody and get radicalized the long way. Now you're just like, you fall into one YouTube or Twitter pipeline and all of a sudden you're like a terrorist. Like,
yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Of course. Half of those people are definitely federal agents, to be fair.
Also true. Yes, true. Yes.
Both of those options are very attractive to young people who feel like they are being forced into, two paths, but it's important and it's hard. It's hard to present this option for people, but it's important that they can both not condemn other people for their minor mistakes or even major mistakes, because people can change, learn, and grow from mistakes. But you also don't have to be a terrible person. And my journey to just like super quickly, my journey to becoming a Catholic and a Christian had almost everything to do with that at the starting point, was learning that middle ground.
You were looking for redemption?
No, I was trying to figure out how people could be so horrible and how I could forgive them. You know what I mean?
Oh, very nice. So you were looking to be a better person.
Yes.
Got it. Got it.
You know, but it's a
Yep.
hard path to present to people, and people
Yes.
don't naturally fall into that, where they can both have standards for themselves and others while also being a forgiving person. But that is the path to freedom. I am just saying, that is it.
Yes. I think I found that through the movie and through now after I saw the movie, I then began to learn more about Gandhi. Right. I saw the movie when I was a kid. And when I saw the movie, I was moved by it. I thought, wow, he's the guy who said, an eye for an eye and we all go blind. Right. And I remember him talking about religion, that when he went to church, that the pastor would read from any book that would make the most sense for his pastor. He didn't care whether it was the Quran, whether it was the Old Testament, New Testament. He didn't care. And I thought, oh, so that's the concepts that I was enjoying, that concept. And I think from that, I think I learned more about that. And now I'm sometimes, and I think people have told me this, I am sometimes too forgiving. I forgive a lot. And I think I did it mostly because, I had to forgive my mom for making many errors when I was a kid. My mom was an addict, and she also went to prison. And pulling her out, I had to forgive everything. And I did. And it made my mom and I closer than ever. I mean, we became so close after that. And I think it saved her life and saved our relationship.
Yeah.
And so I think that's kind of how my forgiving journey went, if it makes any sense. And people who know me know I'm insanely forgiving. And I think forgiving makes you stronger while you're trying to make others stronger. Forgiving makes everybody stronger.
Mm-hmm.
I really believe that. But so, yes, I do think there are some positive things here, because we're going to have to forgive each other, because if we don't, we're not going to be able to survive, right? We're just not going to be able to survive at all. So let me grab a couple comments if I could. Dave says, the problem with quiet quitting is those in power and on social media tend to tell people that the system is rigged. Well, I think that's true. So what's happening is, now I'm the boss and you're quiet quitting. So what am I going to do? I'm going to quiet fire you. That's what I'm going to do, right? The response is quiet firing. And that doesn't help anybody. And now your resume is broken. So now, to your point, Olivia, the resume is broken. I can't get a regular job anymore. And I still blame everybody else, right? But there's an issue I want to bring up with you guys. And that is, while many people on the left will scream, you should pay me, you should pay for this, pay for that, end my debt, end my this, end my that. A lot of people who are more libertarian on the right go, you know what? No, we shouldn't. But they have a valid point. If we can bail out banks, if we can send money overseas, if we've got billions to bail out banks and to send money overseas, don't they have a point? You know what? Don't give it to the bank or give it to overseas to some country fighting a war, but instead, you got the money, pay off my student debt. What are you doing? Doesn't that make more sense? Don't they have a point when they say that?
Totally. I totally understand it. I totally get it. And I have a lot of friends who were, kind of banking on the student debt relief. And on an individual basis, it would have helped them a lot, actually. It would have helped them a lot in their lives. And so I will really never judge anyone that's like, judging, telling congressmen off about big pharma or anything else, because so many other billion-dollar corporations get federal subsidies, through taxpayer dollars. They get bailed out. The people talking about, oh, well, this Republican senator got a PPP loan forgiven and I can't get my loan forgiven. I'm not going to fault them for pointing that out, because those same congressmen and senators getting PPP loans forgiven are also handing out $1 billion bailouts to banks. So I don't judge people who are saying, well, why can't you pay for this instead? But I am judging those who don't think that that very act of using somebody else's money to bail somebody else out isn't evil. Because if you look at the core reason, if people can recognize that bailing out banks with somebody else's money is evil, then they should realize that bailing out, billions of dollars in student debt, even if it's held by, thousands, hundreds of thousands, or even millions of individuals, that's immoral and that's wrong. And I made this post that I think Fee shared the other day, but it's basically like, I don't know why we demonize CEOs and business owners and even landlords and people like that so much, when it's like, they create the jobs, they already pay enormous amounts of wealth and fund taxes way more than you or I ever will.
And charity,
And charity.
Who do you think is funding all these nonprofits? Like,
right, I'm not a billionaire defender. I don't really care that much to be on my hands and knees and like bow down to Elon Musk or whoever. But it's just so interesting the things that people will blame on capitalism, but don't assign to human greed, and that human greed would somehow not transfer into whoever would control the system under communism or democratic socialism or government funded healthcare or whatever program they want, really. Because it's like, if you want to look at how government run healthcare would be, look at medical assisted and dying in Canada, how they're recommending medically assisted suicide to people who are too poor to pay for treatment, who are too poor. Yeah. And now coming up, I think in February or March, they're going to legalize it for people who have mental health issues. So now if you have bipolar, depression, schizophrenia, the government in Canada could put you to death. Or look at Veteran Affairs in America. Look at Veteran Affairs in America. This is how we run our. People die on wait lists. This is how we treat our veterans. And so I just can't imagine that the general population being on government-run healthcare would be any better.
Yeah, and that is getting us extended to mature minors. So I think about all of the kids I knew growing up when I was a teenager. I had a ton of very depressed friends and like suicidal friends, honestly.
Yep.
That is very common these days, and it shouldn't be taboo to talk about. But like, imagine if the healthcare system, when taking them in, was like, no, we'll help you. We'll help you kill yourself.
So it's life-ending affirmation care.
Yeah.
Life-ending affirmation care.
All about affirming.
Everything needs to be affirmed.
Everything's affirmed.
All of our desires.
Yes.
Everything needs to be affirmed. But God forbid you want to work hard and make your way in this country, make money.
But what you're seeing government do and do very well is it's replacing the private sector, right? It does it very well. It replaces community and replaces private sector. It has to keep growing to be valid. So if you look around our country now, and New York State's one of the best examples of this. New York State, everyone's got a government job, right? More and more people have government jobs, which means why would you care about a billionaire? Why would you care about that person? You got a government job. They don't matter to you. Who cares if my cousin's taken care of? I got a government job. It doesn't matter. What do I care? I have a public sector union, which means in a public sector union, I don't really have a boss. Because they just give me more. It's not their money, so they don't care. So I have a public sector union, and I have a government job. So who cares? The federal government is the largest employer in the country. In fact, I believe the federal government's the largest employer in the world, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's the largest employer in the entire world. But it's definitely the largest employer in the country, for sure. Bigger than Walmart, bigger than McDonald's, bigger than Amazon. It's bigger than all of them. So as we keep growing that out, and we keep what you see in New York, and what you see all these big deals where they go, we're going to put 1.7 trillion to this, $1 million to this, 100,000 to that, 100 million to this. What they're doing is just creating more government jobs. And you're asking who's funding the nonprofits. A lot of it's government funded. It's through grants. So they're now even taking over nonprofits, which means basically now these nonprofits are just government agencies that are non-unionized.
Oh yeah,
that's all they are.
The Biden administration is funding all this like diversity and inclusion stuff, and you're like, wait, where are these grants going? And it's like some random like government project, the diversity and inclusion chief of the aerospace technology agency or whatever, and it's like, what? Like
they're funding fake jobs. They're fake
welfare. It's literally welfare at this point, because
fake jobs to employ the gender studies graduates. Yeah, if they're lucky enough.
Someone's got to do DEI. Someone's gotta. Come on. So there we go. Yes,
incredibly necessary. Well, I think 100%. We're going to start seeing a huge job loss as these fake jobs start to disappear.
That's what I thought. That was what kind of happened with you. Have you guys been keeping with the Sam Brinton thing, the non-binary? So there's this Biden administration official, I think works in the Department of Energy, Sam Brinton. It's the bald guy with the dress.
Oh yeah, no. But what I thought didn't he get like arrested or something for stealing?
Right. But I thought that was like that just reminds me of like those fake jobs that they make up for people with all these. Different
yes.
Like you're the assistant to who now, and why are you in the news, and why are you an official in the Biden administration now? And how did this person get qualified when he steals women's clothing from several different airports over the course of 6 months? it just seems like welfare to me. It just seems like a fake job. It doesn't seem real.
Just to gossip about Sam Brenton a little bit more, the amount of like, I'm sorry, this is a little NSFW, the image pictures of himself that he posted online should disqualify him from being like a public-facing government official. That's disgusting. I'm sorry. Keep it private. Keep it private.
There we go. I like it.
Yeah,
so you had an actual, Maggie, you got a question. Maggie, it says, I know you have ties to Louisiana. I'm a grad student at LSU. Is there a libertarian presence in Louisiana at all? I feel like state politics is dominated by Kennedy/Cassidy and whatever crap is in BR. I guess that means Baton Rouge.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
you have an answer for that?
I would say, go to grassroots activist organizations and see if they have chapters in your area. So Young Americans for Liberty on college campuses. America's Future, I know, is doing stuff in Louisiana. The Pelican Institute for Public Policy is an amazing think tank out there promoting awesome policy in Louisiana. And there's a lot of, local libertarian chapters. There is a really growing body of liberty-leaning Republican state representatives, some of whom I know personally that are incredible. So there definitely is a community out there.
So now you got a bugger on Twitter.
Yeah.
Right?
I just would never move back there. I'm sorry. I was there for 10 days and left incredibly depressed. I don't know why, but it's a hard state because it is
there we go.
Economically left-wing and socially right-wing. And
the opposite of libertarian. So yes, the lockdown was positive for me, says John Turner. I grew spiritually and focused a lot on my mental and emotional health. It also brought our family closer together. That is amazing, John. I'm glad to hear that. You are not the norm, and I'm glad you were able to break that cycle. Good for you.
Yeah. Way to turn a bad situation around. That's actually good.
Yeah. I actually homeschooled my daughter. So we actually got closer. I took my daughter to school, I homeschooled her, and I think we became closer also. So I tried to play the same game, but not as cool. John got he got the trifecta. I got one. But I'll take what I can get. It's fine. So yes. Jericho was talking about those women you were talking about earlier, Olivia, and she says those women are full of shit and unhappy. And I think Jericho's correct.
I think I remember what I was talking about, like the women who portray that you can have it all, like the boss woman, career like wife, and like the stay-at-home trad wife, mother of 6 children. Yeah, it's unrealistic. And there are some women that can do that. And I think that so my mom, she always had a career, and she's an older mother. Like I'm her oldest, and I was born when she was like 35. And she had multiple kids after me. So I do see some of that drive spirit in my mother, but she was never an influencer, trying to influence other girls to do anything. She was never trying to portray herself in a certain way. She was just that boss. She was just that girl. So I want to be like a woman like my mother, who is a strong, independent woman, who doesn't need the government, doesn't fall for the propaganda, but also is really about her family and stuff. And that's kind of the role model I want to be for, people who listen to the show.
I like it. That libertarian lady says, in my older age, I'm trying to perfect the art of not giving an F. I agree.
Yeah. I think we all come to that point, right? I'm trying to get there.
Yeah.
You can not give an F and also still be a nice person. There are a lot of people who don't give an F, and they're the nicest people I know because they don't give an F. Nothing bothers them like that. So they don't feel vindictive. They don't need to feel bitter about anything. So I totally get it.
Absolutely. Guys, I want to make sure we understand that if you want to see this awesome show that's coming out, head on over to fee.org/undoctrination. There is a link in the description if you want to go there. And do me a favor if you would, and that is follow me if you would on Twitter and share this on Sharpway Twitter. Retweet it, I should say, on Twitter. And also, if you could follow me on Sharpway YouTube, click that all notifications. That's awesome. So you get everything you want. And also, I got one more thing and I'll stop bugging you. And that is go to theadvocates.org. They are my sponsor. Please go there. Take the world's smallest political quiz. It's 1 or 2 minutes. If you haven't taken it yet, take it and share the results. It's free. If you have taken it already, that's okay. There's like 7 different surveys you can take. Everything from how do you police to military-industrial complex, to political correctness, all types of things. There's a human respect test. Even that, human respect. Take one of them, it's like 6 or 7 minutes, and share your results. If you do that, you make my sponsors happy, you make me happy, and it's free. All good. Please do that to the best of your ability. Guys, I want to ask, did I miss something? Is something else we should be talking about before we wrap this up?
I covered everything I wanted to cover.
Yeah,
there
same.
We go. You're good. Maggie, you good?
Yeah, same here. Just thank you so much for having us on. This was really lovely. So
no, of course. Everybody, I want to say thank you all for watching. I appreciate you guys giving me a little bit of your evening. I will see you all very soon.